of January 2026, and we're continuing with our pastime of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But today is a most auspicious day. It's the Tirobhav of Madhvacharya. So we'll say a few words, not extensively because I want to keep up with the Caitanya Caritamrta reading, but we'll definitely honor Madhvacharya, of course. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadaliye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Dayata Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurana Varatinokalo, Samara Paitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam. Haripurata Sundarata Tikatamba Satipita, Sadakradare Kandare Sparatu Vasachinandanaha. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharstameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sarira Dari Kripam Buddha Yastamaham Prabhadye Yam Prabhajantamanapetya Apetya Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tam Matayottarava Vinidus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Madhya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Madhya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering my Sastang Dandavats to our dearmost Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami and all our divine Rupa Nuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So today, the celebration of the Tirobhav of Madhvacharya, Madhva, we say with a W, Madhvacharya. And he took his birth near Udupi, which is in South India. If you go to Bangalore, if you know that, it's level with Bangalore, but on the coast. So close by is the ashram of Parashuram Rishi, and just next to that is an ashram of Durgama. So the local people consider that Parashuram and Durgama are like his mother and father because he was like an avatar. But this is just folk lore. He was actually manifested from a part of Vayudev. Vayudev is so powerful. We described the other day when Hanuman, his son, is knocked down by Indra's thunderbolt and his jaw is broken or fractured, that Vayudev took Hanuman into a cave and he just stopped all the wind on the planet, and everyone, of course, was choking up with no wind, no proper air. So all the devas came and offered their homage to Vayudev at that time and benedicted Hanumanji. So he became very powerful. So it's described that Madhvacharya, he's the embodiment of Vayudev and Bhimsena also, who is a manifestation from Vayudev. and also Hanuman. So all of these very strong personalities. So his principal purpose, or the reason for his advent, was to purify the Mayavad conceptions. We should understand this ontologically, that there was 800 years of Sankaracharya's Advaita philosophy. Everything is one. We discussed this a bit yesterday, day before. So this oneness, of course, is like Mayavad. So Ramanuja, 100 years before, in 1221, he manifested the first Sampradaya, the Sri Sampradaya. And that philosophy is called Vaishishtya Advaitavad. Vaishishtya means what? Speciality. It's not all one. There is a speciality in the oneness, right? Got that? Vaishishtya is a very beautiful word, speciality. It doesn't mean that something is superior or inferior. It means it has speciality. So it's almost like a soft cell against the vigorous Mayavad conception of Advaita, of Sankaracharya. That philosophy of Sankaracharya had really taken root, particularly in South India. So Ramanuja began the process of purifying that Mayavad taint. People weren't worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he began with this Vaishisht Advaitavad. And then 100 years after Ramanuja, in 13 something, what was it? So Madhvacharya is 1238 to 1317, and Ramanuja is 1138. There's 100 years difference between the two. So Ramanuja began the purification in a very almost like gentle way. I mean, changing the conception of the heart from one appreciation to another is not a simple thing, just like we've often spoke. For the Westerners, just accepting God is a big thing. Then accepting God as Krishna is another huge step. Then accepting actually that Radhika is the supreme controller, that's another huge step. So these big steps, they take time because they have to be the belief has to be sunk into the heart. So Ramanuja, he began the purification, and then Madhvacharya, you always see him with two fingers, very strong. There's the Jiva and Krishna. It's not one, it's two. So previously they were always considering it's just the oneness. Everything is one. You are God, I am God, we're all God together, like that. But Madhvacharya made it very pronounced, this Shuddha Advaita. Shuddha means pure, the pure oneness of Krishna. And the Jiva is separate. So this is what his preaching was. And he needed a lot of strength to combat the Mayavads at that time. So there are many beautiful pastimes that he performed. In his youth, he rescued a boat that was destined to crash on the rocks in Udupi by the ocean. He called to the captain. The captain was in great distress. They threw him a rope, and single-handedly he pulled that boat off a sandbank and avoided the rocks that it was going to crash on. And then the captain was so grateful, he gave him a huge gopi chandan that he was carrying. He was carrying a cargo of gopi chandan. So Madhvacharya, because he was so strong, he carried that. But then it dropped, and inside was the most beautiful deity. This is the deity. This is a replica from Udupi. And it's Gopal, but it's not the Gopal like you have. It's the Gopal with a churning rod. He's there with the churning rod, making the butter from the yogurt. But it's Gopal. You can pass it, you can look. Or I can hold it up here first. You see, this is Gopal. And this Gopal deity is in the temple there in Udupi. and he's always available for darshan. You can see him through a window in Udupi, but he's extremely beautiful. Available for darshan. He's extremely beautiful, but you can pass him around. You can see him. So this is like a bought from a trinket store there. But so Madhvacharya, and then he established two teachings to defeat Mayavad and to establish the Murti. You need the Murti to defeat the Mayavad. You need to have the form of the Lord to replace the impersonal conception. So this was his principal teaching, and he established 8 different mutts all over India, and 4 were very prominent, and he installed his disciples there to carry on the worship after he left. And he went to visit Vyasadeva in Bhattarikashram in the northern Himalaya, and he toured India a number of times. He actually himself was a musician. He composed some beautiful arti melody songs, and he would sing in his preaching. And there's a beautiful book, if you go to Udupi, that you can get, Acharya Madhva. You can get this book on Amazon, actually. But it's a very beautiful book. But in this book, it describes how Madhvacharya, in his childhood or in teens, he was not inclined towards all the rituals of the smartas. You know, the smarta brahmanas were thinking that you were going to go to hell if you didn't do certain things like that. But Madhvacharya was more supportive of the moods that could be generated by an affection, an attraction to God, to Krishna, to establish that mood, that loving mood. I had personally always thought that Madhvacharya was just like very, very staunch in a sense. And he was very staunch, but at the same time, there was this softness there that was indicating that the real truth is actually the soft place of the heart in genuine worship of the Supreme. It's not like rigorous tapasya and so on, and just, you know, a conception of like the Brahmajyoti or something like that, like Advaita, like Sankaracharya was proclaiming. So Madhvacharya is Mahaprabhu chose the Madhvacharya line because it was the most prominent at the time. That's why he chose that line. He didn't choose Ramanuja, he could have easily chosen that. But he takes 2 teachings from each of the Sampradayas, and from the Madhva, he takes the worship of the deity and the defeat of Mayavadism. So Madhva, he traveled all over India preaching this and made a huge dent in the Mayavad conception that had lodged there from Sankaracharya. So our line is the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya line. It's coming from Lord Brahma and Madhvacharya, and it's this Gaudiya line that indicates Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the line. And I've said many times that how all of the Sampradayas believed that Krishna himself was transforming into the worlds. Do you remember what it's called? In the beginning of Jayavadama, the first chapter, talks about a vastu. A vastu is a singular entity, like Krishna, Jiva, and Maya. These are singular entities. So it's called Vastu Parinamvad. Parinam means the transformations. So Vastu Parinam, the Vastu is transforming into the worlds. But Mahaprabhu, he purified this misconception and saying, no, it's Shakti. Shakti is transforming into all the worlds. So that was Mahaprabhu's contribution. But still today, we are so happy and fortunate to celebrate the Tirabhav of Madhva Acharya. We can pray to him for strength in our devotion, strength in our appreciation of Thakurji, strength in our adherence to the Tattva Siddhanta. He just gave everything. He wrote many books, bhasyas, about the relationship between Krishna and the Jiva, the relationship between Krishna and Maya, the relationship between the Jiva, and the relationship between Jiva and Maya. Principally, these sambandhas, therefore indicating it must be personal, not impersonal, which was the climate everywhere else. So he was trying to establish personalism. So it was a very powerful, that's why he was Vayudev. That's why he came in that incarnation, and Hanuman, and Bhimsen also, these three personalities. So Madhvacharya ki jai. So now we'll come back to our Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya pastime. Today we're in a different location. We're in Radhakund still, but just in a different room. Had a very rainy day today, which is unique to Radhakund. It doesn't usually rain this season. Okay, so I think we're on text 14. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Eta Chinta Patacharya Achena Vishaya Nityanandi Simhadvare Miliya Ashya. Translation: while the Bhattacharya was thinking in this way at his home, you remember the pastime so far, that the Bhattacharya has brought Mahaprabhu to his home because he was exhibiting these extraordinary symptoms of sudipta, these very high symptoms of bhav, and he passed out in the Jagannath temple, and the watchmen were going to beat him, but Sarvabhauma, through his knowledge, he rescued him and put him to his home, and was trying to revive him. But meanwhile, all the other devotees came to his home to find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So while the Bhattacharya was thinking in this way at his home, all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Nityananda Prabhu, approached the Singhadvaha, the entrance door of the temple. Text 15. Tanhasune loke kahe anyano bate eka sanyasi ase deki Jagannatha. There the devotees heard the people talking about a mendicant who had come to Jagannath Puri and seen the deity of Jagannath. Text 16. Murchita hoile chaitana nehaya sarir sarvabhauma lana gela apanara gera. Translation: the people said that the sannyasi had fallen unconscious upon seeing the deity of Lord Jagannath. Because his consciousness did not return, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had taken him to his home. Text 17. Sune sabe janila e mahabharbur kare hena kale aile tahan gopinathacharya. Translation: hearing this, the devotees could understand that they were speaking of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just then, Sri Gopinath Acharya arrived. Text 18. Nadia Nivasa Vishadare Jamata Mahaprabhu Bhakta Teho Prabhu Sattva Janata. Translation: Gopinath Acharya was a resident of Nadia, the son-in-law of Vishard, and a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He knew the true identity of his lordship. So some history is going to be spoken about Gopinath Acharya now. Purport: Maheshwara Vishard was a classmate of Nilambara Chakravartis. Nilambara Chakravarti is the father of Sachimata, the wife, the mother of Mahaprabhu. He lived in the Nadia district in a village called Vidyanagar and had two sons named Madhusudan Vachaspati and Vasudev Sarvabhauma. His son-in-law was Gopinath Acharya. So originally Sarvabhauma is from Nadia. Text 19. Mukunda Sahita Purve Ache Parichaya Mukunda Dekiya Tanra Hoile Vishwamaya. Translation: Gopinath Acharya had previously been acquainted with Mukunda Datta And when the Acharya saw him at Jagannath Puri, he was very much astonished. Text 20. Mukunda tanhare deki koile namaskara, tenho alingiya puche prabhura samskara. Translation. Mukunda Datta offered obeisances unto Gopinath Acharya upon meeting him. Then the Acharya embraced Mukunda Datta and inquired about news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 21. Mukunda kahe Prabhu ihan hoile agamana, ami saba asiyache Mahaprabhu sane. Mukunda Datta replied, "The Lord has already arrived here. We have come with him." Text 22. Nityananda Goshanike Acharya Kaya Namaskara Sabe Mile Puche Prabhu Bharata Bara Bara. As soon as Gopinath Acharya saw Nityananda Prabhu, he offered his obeisances unto him. In this way, meeting all the devotees, he asked about news of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again. It's very wonderful how Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj has such amounts of information that he can give us in this pastime. He can fill in all the sort of gaps and the details to make it like a narrative, make it very simple for Kali Yuga people to enter into. Text 23. Mukunda kahe Prabhu, Mahaprabhu sanyase kariya, nila chale aila sange amasabalana. Translation. Mukunda Datta continued, after accepting the sannyas order, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to Jagannath Puri and has brought all of us with him. Text 24. Amashaba chadi age gaila darshane, amishaba pache ailen tanra avasane. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left our company and walked ahead to see Lord Jagannath. This is Mukunda Datta talking. We have just arrived and are now looking for him. Text 25. Aneyone loker muke ye kata sunila, sarvabhauma grihe prabhu anumana kaila. Translation. From the talk of the people in general, we have guessed that the Lord is now at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Text 26. Ishvare darshane prabhu prema achatena, sarvabhauma lana gela apana bhavana. Translation. Upon seeing Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic and fell unconscious, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has taken him to his home in this condition. Text 27. Tomara milane yave amara hoile man, daiva se shane pailun tomara darshan. Translation. Just as I was thinking of meeting you, by chance we have actually met. This often happens, right? Often you're thinking of someone and then all of a sudden you're with that person. Text 28. Chala shabeye sarva bomare bhavana, prabhu deki pache kariba aishvara darshana. First, let us all go to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, we shall come to see Lord Jagannath. This is a very important verse, actually, that they had their focuses on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Acharya, their guru, who is the Supreme Lord, more than Lord Jagannath, who is the Lord of the universe. Their hearts had been stolen by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore they didn't go straight to the temple, but they wanted to have darshan of Mahaprabhu first. Text 29. Etasuni gopinatha sabara ladar, sarvabhauma gare gela harshita hana. Hearing this and feeling very pleased, Gopinath Acharya immediately took all the devotees with him and approached the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Text 30. Sarvabhauma stane giya prabhu ke dekila, prabhu deki acharya duker harsha haile. Translation. Arriving at the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, everyone saw the Lord lying unconscious. Gopinath Acharya became very unhappy to see him in this condition, but at the same time, he was happy just to see the Lord. Text 31. Sarvabhauma janana sabe nila abhyantare, Nityananda Goshanira Tenho Kaile Namaskare. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya permitted all the devotees to enter his home, and upon seeing Nityananda Prabhu, the Bhattacharya offered him obeisances. Text 32. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is very versed in correct behavior. He's honoring all the time Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi. He immediately offers his Dandavat pranams to Nityananda Prabhu. He doesn't hesitate, even though he's a proud man in the sense that he's the Mahant of Jagannath Puri. He's in charge of so many disciples, thousands of disciples. The king, Prataparudra, will come to him for advice in spiritual subject matters. So he's a big man, so to speak. And now he's very happily offering his Dandavat pranams to the sannyasis and to Nityananda Prabhu. Text 32. Sabha Sahita Yata Yogya Karila Milan Prabhu Deki Sabara Haile Harshita Mahan. Translation: Sarvabhauma met with all the devotees and offered them a proper welcome. They were all pleased to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though he was unconscious. Text 33. Sarvabhauma Pattaila Sabha Darshana Karite Chandaneshwara Nijaputra Dila Sabara Sate. The Bhattacharya then sent them all back to see Lord Jagannath, and he asked his own son, Chandaneshwara, to accompany them as a guide. Text 34. Jagannatha deki sabha hoile ananda, bhavete avista hoile Prabhu Nityananda. Translation: Everyone was then very pleased to see the deity of Lord Jagannath. Lord Nityananda in particular was overwhelmed with ecstasy. When we see the deity of Jagannath every time, if we have been to Rath Yatra, we see his enormous wooden body. It's really imposing. It's really ecstatic. What to speak if we're actually in the temple seeing him close up? And it's a really powerful darshan. It's so powerful on the Ratha Yatra cards to see him there, but to see inside the temple, I can just imagine it's more potent, even still. He's so imposing a personality and figure. And all the worship supports that imposing mood, because the worship is all opulent. Huge chamaras, huge fans, very large ghee lamp offerings. Everything is very opulently presented to Lord Jagannath. So it's a very powerful impression. So this is what Nityananda and Mahaprabhu have been overwhelmed by. Text 35. Sabe mele dari tanra shustira karila Ishvara sevaka mala prasad ani dila. Translation: When Lord Nityananda Prabhu nearly fainted, all the devotees caught him and steadied him. At that time, the priest of Lord Jagannath brought a garland that had been offered to the deity and offered it to Nityananda Prabhu. Text 36. Must have been a big day for the priests in Jagannath Puri. First of all, they have darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then they have darshan of Nityananda Prabhu. All these powerful Bengali devotees coming through. Must have been very wonderful. Translation. No. Text 36. Prasad pana sabe hoile anandita mane punarapi oile sabe Mahaprabhu stane. Everyone was pleased to receive this garland worn by Lord Jagannath. Afterwards, they all returned to the place where Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying. Text 37. Uchakari kare sabe nama sankirtana Tritya praha haile Prabhu Chaitana. Translation. All of the devotees then began to loudly chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Just before noon, the Lord regained his consciousness. So the Lord was unconscious for a number of hours, 3-4 hours from the morning time until noon. Text 38. Homkara kariya utte hari hari bali anande sarva bhaume tanra loila padaduli. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up and very loudly chanted, Hari, Hari,
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very pleased to see the Lord regain consciousness, and he took the dust of the Lord's lotus feet. So this is also significant. He took the dust of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Text 39. Sarvabhauma kahe srigra kareya madhyana muni bhiksha dimi aji mahaprasadana. Translation. The Bhattacharya informed all of them, please take your midday baths immediately. Today I shall offer you Mahaprasadam, the remnants of food offered to Lord Jagannath. Text 40. Samudra snan kari Mahaprabhu sigra oile, charana pakyaila Prabhu asane vasila. Translation. After bathing in the sea, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees returned very soon. The Lord then washed his feet and sat down on a carpet to take lunch. This is actually significant because generally when we honor Jagannath Prasad, we don't sit on a mat or a carpet. We actually sit straight on the floor. That's the correct behavior when you're in Puri, when you take the prasad. And we don't eat on plates, we eat off a banana leaf. So that's the tradition. But here it's quite marked different because Mahaprabhu is going to eat off a golden plate and he's going to sit on a carpet. So you can figure this out. Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is making arrangement for his own comfort, but it's not the tradition in Puri. Have you understood in Puri how they take the prasadam like that? If you're in a mat or something, they won't give you a sitting mat to sit on, and they'll only give you a banana leaf or a leaf plate. Text 41. Bahuta prasada sarvabhauma anaila, tabe Mahaprabhu sukhe bhojana karila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made arrangements to bring various kinds of Mahaprasad from the Jagannath temple. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then accepted lunch with great happiness. Text 42. Suvanara talira ana utama vyanjana bhaktagana sange prabhu korena bhojana. Translation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was offered special rice and first-class vegetables on golden plates. He thus took lunch in the company of his devotees. So I was sort of thinking that when I was reading this before. Why, it's just an exception. But generally, they would take off banana leaf plates. Text 43. Sarvabhauma parivasena korina apane prabhu kahe more deha lapra vyajanai. While Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya personally distributed the prasadam, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested him, please give me only boiled vegetables. So I think what we're seeing the whole mood and attitude of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. This chapter is all about Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So all of his actions have been recorded. How he took Mahaprabhu back to his home, how he nursed him with the devotees, looked after the devotees. As soon as Mahaprabhu comes back to life, he takes the dust from Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, and now he's personally serving Mahaprabhu Mahaprasad. Lapra Vyanjan is a preparation in which many vegetables are boiled together, and then chinka, is that how you say it? Chinka is added, consisting of spices like cumin, black pepper, and mustard seed, like a chonce, we say. Text 44. Pittapana deha tumi inha sabakara tabe bhattacharya kahe yudi dui kare. You can offer the cakes and preparations made with condensed milk to all the devotees. Hearing this, the Bhattacharya folded his hands and spoke as follows. What does this remind us? Just a few days ago, we were reading the pastime of Advaita Acharya, and Mahaprabhu again was trying to minimize the amount of foodstuffs he was taking, but Advaita Acharya convinced him to take everything. The same thing is happening now. Mahaprabhu is saying today, Sarvabhauma says, today, all of you please try to taste the lunch just as Lord Jagannath accepted it. Did I read the? Oh. Jagannatha kache kari achena bojana ajay sabha mahaprasad kari asvadana. Yes, so today all of you please try to taste the lunch just as Lord Jagannath accepted it. Text 46. Etabali pitapana sabha koyala bhiksha karena achana achaman karela. Translation. After saying this, he made them all eat the various cakes and condensed milk preparations. After feeding them, he offered them water to wash their hands, feet, and mouths. I think Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj wants to give us the complete atmosphere of everything. All these little details are creating a wonderful image, an impression in our minds. We're sitting there now in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. I keep saying Advaita all the time. Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda Datta, Jagadananda, Mahaprabhu, they're all there in a very powerful mood, and they're being fed this top Mahaprasad. Text 47. Agni Magigela Gopinathacharya Kegalana Prabhure Nikate Aila Bojana Karina. Begging permission from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then went with Gopinathacharya to take lunch. After finishing their lunch, they returned to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So again, this is the etiquette. That person who is offering the prasad to his guests, he will take afterwards. He doesn't just sit down. When you get used to this etiquette and you come into a household where the person sits down with you with his own plate, it's really uncomfortable. We had this experience a little while ago in Mayapur. One foreigner, they cooked, and then they served, and then they immediately sat down with their plate with all the other devotees, which is kind of like a natural Western thing to do. But if you get used to the etiquette, it's really like, wow, it's something pinching, because that person should be available to keep on serving. As soon as some preparation is finished, he should be clean, not have eaten anything. And then at the very end, like in every single Indian household in Bharatvash, then the wife, she always serves the husband, and she doesn't take until the husband is finished, and then she's cleaned all his plate, and then she'll sit down quietly to take her prasad after anyone else has been fed. And this is like a respectful mood. It engenders respect, which is a quality of love. So the whole atmosphere becomes very potent when these types of behavior are followed. It's just a fact. It's like when we take prasadam with a large group of devotees. Many times the devotees don't realize that they're supposed to sit there and wait until the senior persons have finished and get up and say Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Then everyone gets up together and everyone leaves together. It's not good for the digestion when you're eating and just some junior odd people are just leaving here and there. When you know the etiquette, it's a very beautiful appreciation of the collective group of devotees. Even in weddings they do this in India. They'll have a wedding ceremony with feasts and so on. And if the people are educated, they will always do that. They will wait until everyone has more or less finished at the same time. Then they'll all get up together. They all sit down together and they all get up together. You understand? I can remember once typing out a whole notice in Rup Sanatan because I was so disturbed that so many devotees didn't understand this. They would just eat and then think, well, I'm finished, I'm going. There was no sort of connectivity with the rest of the group who was actually taking prasad. It was like a disconnect. They would suddenly get up, go and wash their hands and mouth and everything. And it makes a discord. It's almost like a harmony, you know, when you follow the etiquette. It's very beautiful. Vedic culture is very rich, like this, and respectful. And Krishnadas Kaviraj is portraying this here now. He even goes to mention that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his son-in-law, Gopinathacharya, no, not his son-in-law. Is it his son-in-law? No.
Brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. they go to take their lunch and then they come back afterwards to Mahaprabhu. So it's mentioned particularly for us coming from the foreign lands so we can pick up a bit of this etiquette. Text 48. Namo Narayana, Bali Namaskara Kaila, Krishna Matya Astu Bali Goshani Kahila. Translation. Offering his obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, Namo Narayana, I offer my obeisances to Narayan. Mahaprabhu wouldn't have really liked that so much because this is how the Mayavads honor each other as you often Dridri Narayan, poor Narayan. Why should Narayan be poor? But they offer like that. In return, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Matya Astu, let your attention be on Krishna. This is a traditional response to when that honoring is given, that Krishna Matya Astu. It means let your attention be on Krishna. Purport. It is the etiquette among sannyasis, those in the fourth platform of spiritual life, to offer respects by saying Om Namo Narayana. I offer respectful obeisances unto Narayan, but this greeting is for the Mayavadi sannyasis. This greeting is used especially by Mayavadi sannyasis. According to the Smriti Shastras, a sannyasi should not expect anything from anyone, nor should he consider himself identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vaishnava sannyasis never think of themselves as being one with the Lord. This is what we were just talking about today. This is the what Madhvacharya smashed, being one with the Lord. This conception. They always consider themselves eternal servants of Krishna, and they want to see everyone in the world become Krishna conscious. For this reason, a Vaishnava sannyasi always offers his blessing to everyone, saying Krishna Matya Astu, may you become Krishna conscious. Beautiful supplementary teachings from Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Text 49. Suni sarva bhoma mane vichare karila, Vaishnav sannyasi inho vachane janila. Translation. Hearing these words, Sarvabhauma understood Lord Chaitanya to be a Vaishnava sannyasi. Yes, he didn't presume to be Lord Narayan. Remember, actually at this time, Mahaprabhu may have had a seeker, may not have a seeker. I don't think he had a seeker. At that time, that tradition hadn't been established. Mahaprabhu is like the first person basically to wear saffron cloth. It wasn't like Ishwara Puri and Madhavendra Puri. They're portrayed now in paintings, but actually they weren't wearing that saffron cloth. Ishwara Puri is described, he comes into the courtyard of Advaita Acharya one time, and nobody can recognize him. He looks like someone just come off the street. They don't wear saffron on the street. They would wear white, dhoti and kurta, like that. So he came and no one recognized him until Mukunda Datta sang beautiful verse, and immediately Ishwara Puri went into a high transcendental state of consciousness, and then everyone, oh, he's a great Vaishnava. But he wasn't recognized before, because he wasn't walking around with a danda and saffron cloth. We often have the idea that all these acharyas are walking like this, but it was only actually really Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati who began this wearing the Babajis, who are like Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami. They would all wear white. They're not wearing saffron. They would feel humble and take the white cloth. So that was the situation. So, but Sarvabhauma understood Lord Chaitanya to be a Vaishnava sannyasi. Text 50. Gopinathacharya kahe Sarvabhauma, Goshanira janite kahan purva ashram. Translation. Sarvabhauma then said to Gopinathacharya, I want to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's previous situation. This is called your Purva Ashram. Purva means before, your previous ashram before. The word Purva Ashram refers to one's previous situation in life. Sometimes a person will accept the renounced order from householder life, and sometimes even from student, brahmachari life. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wanted to know of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's previous situation as a householder. Today it's all become a little bit mixed. In the ISKCON society, for example, they make you brahmachari, then they expect you to go back into the Grihastha ashram. In the Gaudiya Math, the red cloth is offered on the altar. Whatever stage of life you're going to accept that red cloth is placed on the altar, sanctified, and then you put it on for life. If you're a brahmachari, you put it on with the intention of staying in that brahmachari ashram and going into sannyas or something. Otherwise, you stay in white or yellow. You don't take the saffron cloth. Or if you're going to vanaprast, you can take a saffron cloth like that. So this actually, the traditions are all very organized, they're very clear, but they've become muddled with Kali Yuga. So text 51. Gopinatha Charya kahe Navadvipagar Jagannatha name Padvi Mishra Purandar. Translation. Gopinathacharya replied, there was a man named Jagannath. So Gopinathacharya is going to enlighten Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on the Purva Ashram, the previous history of Mahaprabhu. Gopinathacharya replied, there was a man named Jagannath who was a resident of Navadvip and whose surname was Mishra Purandar. Text 52. Vishwambara nama inhar tanra iho putra Nilambara Chakravatir Hayena Duri Duhitra. Translation. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the son of that Jagannath Mishra, and his former name was Vishwambara Mishra. He also happens to be the grandson of Nilambar Chakravarti. Text 53. Sarvabhaumikaha Nilambara Chakravarti Vishadare Samayaya Yai Etanra Kayati. Translation. The Bhattacharya said, Nilambar Chakravarti was a classmate of my father, Maheshwar Bishard. I knew him as such. Text 54. This is very beautiful because what's actually manifesting now is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's relationship, familial relationship, his family relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're actually connected with each other. So it's a family connection, so it's very strong. Text 54. Mishra Purandara Tanra Manye Hena Jani Pitara Sambande Dohake Puja Kare Mani. Translation. Jagannath Mishra Purandar was respected by my father, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is saying. Thus, because of their relationship with my father, I respect both Jagannath Mishra and Nilambara Chakravarti. Text 55. Nadia Sambande Sarvabhauma Hristal Haile Pritahana Goshanira Kohite Lagila. Translation. Hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belonged to the Nadia district, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became very pleased and addressed the Lord as follows. Text 56. Sahajya Pujya Tumi Areta Sanyas Ataiva Hana Tomara Ame Nija Dasha. Translation. You are naturally respectable. Besides, you are a sannyasi. Thus, I wish to become your personal servant. So this is an amazing thing that's taking place here. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is like a Mayavadi sannyasi, and he's hosting a Vaishnava, which is really in opposition to the Mayavadis, and he's hosting him with such respect and honor. So it's important to appreciate this in their first meeting with each other. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is being carried away by the beauty of Mahaprabhu and his youthfulness, etc. Purport. A sannyasi is always to be worshipped and offered all kinds of respect by the grihastas, householders, although Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was older than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvabhauma respected him as a sannyasi and as one who had attained the topmost platform of spiritual ecstasy. Thus, the Bhattacharya certainly accepted him as his master. So this is wonderful. Text 57.
Suni Mahaprabhu Kaile Shri Vishnu Smarana Bhattacharya Kahi Kichu Vinaya Vachana.
As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from the Bhattacharya, he immediately remembered Lord Vishnu and began to speak humbly to him as follows. Text 58.
Tumi Jagat Guru Sarva Loka Hita Karta Vedanta Padila Sanyasira Upakarta.
Translation. Because you are a teacher of Vedanta philosophy, you are the master of all the people in the world and their well-wisher as well. You are also the benefactor of all kinds of sannyasis. So Mahaprabhu is, no, this is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. No, sorry. Mahaprabhu is speaking this kindly back to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Purport. Because the Mayavadi sannyasis teach Vedanta philosophy to their students or disciples, they are customarily called Jagat Guru. This indicates that they are the benefactors of all people. Although Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was not a sannyasi but a householder, he used to invite all the sannyasis to his home and offered them prasadam. Thus he was accepted as the best well-wisher and friend of all the sannyasis. Text 59.
Ami Balaka Sanyasi Banda Manda Nahi Jani Tomara Ashraya Nilun Guru Kariya Mani.
Translation. I am a young sannyasi and I actually have no knowledge of what is good or what is bad, Mahaprabhu is saying. Therefore, I am taking shelter of you and accepting you as my spiritual master. It's interesting, Mahaprabhu hasn't been through any institutional training, right? He's just decided to take sannyas himself. No one told him to take sannyas. And he swam across the Ganga and he's taken sannyas from originally a Mayavad guru, Keshava Bharati, and then he's come to Puri. So he's had no one has told him what a sannyasi is supposed to do. And it's almost like this in the mutts, actually. You get some indication, but basically your independence has to fly when you when you go into this ashram. And you have to determine what is the mission of Mahaprabhu and how can you support that mission of Mahaprabhu in your own individual way. It's not like the army. You're suddenly getting some sort of rank and then all of a sudden you have to do this and do this and do this. Actually, you have so unlimited freedom that gives you space to fully support and propagate the mission of Mahaprabhu. This is the objective. This is why a guru will offer sannyas to support his mission. Text 60.
Tomara Sangalagi Mora Ihan Agamana Sarva Prakara Karibe Amiya Palana.
Translation. I have come here only to associate with you, and I am now taking shelter of you. Will you kindly maintain me in all respects? So Mahaprabhu is showing such an endearing side of himself, offering his surrender to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It's very sweet. Text 61.
Ajiye Haile Amara Bada I Vipati Tanha Haite Koile Tumi Amara Ai Hati.
Translation. The incident that happened today was a great obstacle for me, but you have kindly relieved me of it. That means him becoming overwhelmed in front of Lord Jagannath. Text 62.
Bhattacharya Kahe Ekale Tumi Na Yaiha Darshane Amara Sange Yabe Kimba Amara Lokasane.
Translation: The Bhattacharya replied, "Do not go alone to see the deity at the Jagannath temple. It is better that you go with me or my men." Text 63. Prabhu kahe mandir bitare na yaba garudera pashe rahi darshane kariba. Translation: The Lord said, "I shall never enter the temple, but shall always view the Lord from the side of the Garuda Stamba." So this Garuda Stamba is inside. Someone was telling me yesterday, because I said out the front where Raghunath Das was begging, was this that Singadwaha gate was the Garuda Stamba. But actually on top of that Stamba is Arundev, who's the driver of the sun god, who's the brother of Garuda. But the Garuda Stamba is inside the mandir where Mahaprabhu stands. Text 64. Gopinathacharya kahe sarvabhauma tumi goshani lana kariha darshana. Translation: Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then told Gopinathacharya, "Take Goswamiji and show him Lord Jagannath." Text 65. Amara matra swasa graha nirjan stana tahan vashe deha kare sarva samodana. Translation: Also the apartment belonging to my maternal aunt is in a very solitary place. Make all arrangements for him to stay there. Text 66. Gopinatha Prabhu Lana Tahan Bhaja-lila Jala Jale Putratika Sarva Somadana Kila. Thus, Gopinathacharya took Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his residential quarters and showed him where to find water, tubs, and water pots. Indeed, he arranged everything. These are things that we need when we come to any accommodation. When we stay in India, you need a bucket, you need a lota to bath with, you need to know where the water is, right? We need all these. So Krishna's Kaviraj, he's mentioning all these, he's giving us a picture, like I just described, a very personal picture of Mahaprabhu's entrance into Puri. He's just arrived in Puri, and he's been settled nicely. Text 67. Aradina Gopinatha Prabhustane Giya Sayotana Darshana Karila Lahana. Translation: The next day, Gopinathacharya took Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see the early rising of Lord Jagannath. Text 68. Mukunda Datalana Oile Sarvabhome Stane Sarvabhome Kichatanra Boila Vachana. Translation: Gopinathacharya then took Mukundadatta with him and went to Sarvabhauma's house. When they arrived, Sarvabhauma addressed Mukunda as follows. So we'll carry this on Thursday. We'll stop now. All the people that I'm with today here listening, they all went to Varshana, walked through a huge thunderstorm, and they're all falling asleep in front of me. So I won't go on too long today because they're overwhelmed in the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani in Varshana, and they took a whole shower of mercy on their heads today. So we'll conclude. Caitanya Caritamrta Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Go Premanandi. Madhvacharya Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Caritamrta Ki Jai, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Vaishnavas Ki Jai, Vanshakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavnevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Gaur Premanande.